Good day and welcome to Flipping Economics. Today we will look at inflation. Remember, inflation is the increase in prices in general. There's four causes of inflation, and I will be doing two with you today. The first one is what we call demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation can be represented by a graph. You have prices and then you have Y, which is your total production or income. Then you have your supply curve, but remember we call it is macroeconomics, so it's aggregate supply. And then we have a demand curve, aggregate demand 1. Now, what demand pull inflation is basically too much money that is chasing too few goods. So normally an increase in this aggregate demand is caused by an increase in consumption, investment and government expenditure and exports. So it's too much money in the economy. So what happens is demand keeps increasing because there's a demand for all these types of goods and services. But then we come to this point, and then supply is basically up. There is no more, right? Production can't keep up and can't expand as much. So your supply becomes fixed. So here we had an increase the whole time in both prices and production and income. Increase in prices and production and income because the producers are smiling because they can produce more at a higher price. But then you reach almost full employment and you can't expand production anymore. And then demand just keeps on increasing because there's too much money in the economy. And that only results in a price increase, because supply is constant. So that is what causes inflation. Is the one element is demand pull inflation. Now the second one is something that we call cost push inflation. And that is where you have prices, and again Y, your total income and production, and then you have your aggregate demand and you have your aggregate supply. And in this instance your aggregate supply decreases, it shifts to the left. So what happens then? So if this was your price level and supply decreased, you can see that it causes an increase in prices and a decrease in income in production. So why does this happen? Well, it's according to 5 things that causes this. The first one is an increase in wages and salaries. So if that happens, you will see an increase in prices. Second one is an increase in imported capital and intermediate goods. So imported capital and intermediate goods. The third one is an increase in your profit margins. The fourth thing that can happen is we have a decrease in productivity. So your workers is not as productive anymore. And the last thing is that we can have a natural disaster. And all these factors, as we have seen in microeconomics, can have a decreasing effect on your supply, causing prices to increase. And remember, inflation is an overall increase in prices in general. And then you have something that we call a cause of cost push inflation.